All right, we are live. Parking is paid for. You have eaten your lunch.
I feel good.
Okay. See how this all works out for another OG Live. Let's do the thing. Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovius inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties. Thanks to Copiers Plus. They're always here as your presenting sponsor of the podcast. But it's just past 2 o'clock. You know what that means. We are live on YouTube. Thanks to our friends at the Butcher's Market. Check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. More importantly, since we're live on YouTube right now, I want you to look directly at me. I'm staring right at the camera, okay? Y'all, flowers die. Those teddy bears, they're just going to collect dust. Let me let you in on a little pro tip. Intention matters. And you know what goes well on a Valentine's Day? Cooking a meal. And the best part about the Butcher's Market is they got stuff that's already ready to go. So you could just plate it and make it seem like you cooked it. That's working smarter, not harder. Jokes aside, big thanks to the Butcher's Market. Drop on by for Valentine's Day. Very important stuff. We have Sara Civian dropping by a little bit later on. Jeremy Markovich from NC Rabbit Hole will also jump on the podcast to talk about the one time the Olympic torch was locked up in an evidence locker in Asheville for 7 years. How did that happen? And what's the going rate for an Olympic torch on the secondary market? We'll find out all these things on today's show. Just like Davis wants to find out. Anybody else not know that the Czech Republic was also Czechia? I put 2 and 2 together. I figured that out today. Canadians, easy peasy today.
Okay, good.
I think the Americans get going.
Is Jaromir Jagr still playing for them?
No, I don't think so. I think the Americans get going at like a 3:40 this afternoon. So anyway, consider this the pregame for the Olympic hockey match with the U.S. and I forgot who it is they're playing. It's neither here nor there. I titled today's YouTube thumb Olympic Protocols because I was
Latvia. I do not believe that our old friend Artur Zerbe is still the goalie for Latvia.
No, Artur Zerbe is no longer the goalie for Latvia. That's the only Latvian player I know, by the way. If you were to
Sandis Ozilic.
If you were to, oh, that's right. I forgot about Sandis Ozilic. I just forgot he was Latvian. If you were to present Sporkle to me right now and say, all right, you got 30 Latvian NHLers to name, I could only name 2 now off the top of my head. Artur Zerbe and Sandis Ozilic. An offensive-minded defenseman.
That's right.
Never forget. No, but I was having this thought today with, all right, I mean, we've covered a lot of triangle basketball. We've pretty much covered everything there is to discuss regarding the Super Bowl. It's the classic. All right, what is everybody else talking about right now, right? Like, what have I missed this week as we've been processing a lot of basketball talk? And it dawned on me in the podcasts world and in the national sports talk world, tell me the Super Bowl discussion has been exhausted without telling me. Tell me that the national discussion has now moved on into their own version of offseason protocols. Remember, on this podcast, offseason protocols do not kick in until the Hurricanes are out of the playoffs. That's when we hit offseason protocols. But for national media, offseason protocols tend to begin once the Super Bowl wraps. Monday's easy. Tuesday's easy. Hell, Wednesday's easy.
Assuming you're a certain level of sobriety.
There is that. Real question is, how do you get to Thursday and Friday? I know. Let's go into the old bag of tricks and figure out how to fix the NBA.
Let's go. I was going to say, let's go into the Mount Rushmore of off-season radio protocols. And no, it's not Hall of Fame because we got a dose of that.
No, we already got that.
During the Super Bowl run-up. So you got to go to step 2, and that is, well, you can either go LeBron versus Jordan,
There's
which
that.
I think we're done with this,
There's that,
right?
yes.
Or how do you fix the NBA All-Star Weekend? Go.
Oh, goodness. So I think the format this year is they're doing what? Young versus old?
I don't even know.
I think there's 2 sets of North American players and international players, right?
Okay.
And I think there's 2 sets of young and old. You got the older set, you got the younger set for each side, right? And there was a discussion this week that I saw, well, why can't you do a 4 Nations tournament version for the NBA? And it's like, y'all forgot that we didn't even know if the Four Nations tournament was going to work last year at this time in lieu of the All-Star game. Because it's not like the NHL All-Star game hasn't tinkered with its format. Remember, at one point, I believe they did a North America versus the world. But if you really wanted to get people to buy in, and why everybody's so hype about this Olympic tournament is because you have these international players playing for their country. Now, you can't necessarily do that in the NBA outside of a FIBA World Cup. So how do you enact that for the NBA All-Star game? And there's one man bold enough to finally bring this topic to the mainstream. One man brave enough to do this. Nick Wright. What he proposed on the Bill Simmons podcast this week is something that has only been joked about. But if we are hell-bent on making it so that people care about the NBA All-Star game, that we want the players to reach the level of the Four Nations tournament or what we're seeing in the Olympics, where they give a damn to play for their country, Nick has one idea that would get NBA players to really give a damn.
How would you fix the game on Sunday?
Well,
is it fixable? Because I don't think it is.
It's fixable in 4 years if your guy Con Knippel continues on this trajectory. And we just have to say, you know what? PC headlines be damned.
I know where you're going.
White guys versus black guys. Luka, Joker, Flag, Reeves, Knippel against Wimby, whomever. And I'm telling you right now, guys would play fucking hard. Like that, there would be a real edge to the game.
It would get a lot of talking points going.
Get a lot of attention. Yeah. And we are getting close to a place where it'd be like, oh, that'd be a good game. Like there hasn't been a moment in the NBA in the last 50 years where if that ended up just by chance being the game, it would be you could see either team winning. But right now, like Cooper Flag and Con Knippel and Austin Reeves doing a lot
out
of work
there. Yeah.
Right. But they also get all the Eastern Europeans. Mm-hmm. Like you get Luka, you get Joker, you have real talent. That's something. In the meantime, I don't know what the hell you do.
So again,
but why do you got to wait 4 years? You can do it now.
I don't know why you're waiting 4 years, unless you're waiting for the maturity of Cooper Flag and Con Knippel. But they're already. I was going to say they're balling out right now. Here's the thing: as he's laying out the lineups, especially on the white side, it would be a good basketball game. And then you add the stakes, and he's right. White guys versus black guys. There is going to be real fucking stakes, man. Real stakes.
You wouldn't even have to put money in the pot.
No. Because it becomes a shit. They ain't beating us. And, oh, man, if we beat them, right? I mean, come on. It actually is the best idea that you can implement for the NBA All-Star game at this point. But look, I asked this as somebody who admittedly is not as immersed in the NBA stuff as I once was. You know, the one thing that I've noticed in doing now almost 3 years of podcasts, right? I see you, Kyle. Last thing I need.
Well, I mean, you'd have to swear,
USA.
Doncic and Jokic. And...
Yeah, who does the halftime show?
You'd have to swear that.
You know what? I think you bring back Up With People for the halftime show. That's what you do. That's what you do. Or we do a rendition of Hamilton, bringing everything together there at halftime. Anyway, no, the one thing that I've noticed in, doing what we do now is that it allows us to focus specifically on what this area is about, North Carolina topics that we think are different than what is wash, rinse, repeat on the national level, right? But the one thing that has remained is this constant through line of how do you fix the NBA? It's something that, because I was listening to this Bill Simmons podcast with Nick Wright. Typically, I'll listen to anytime Nick is a guest with somebody. Well, I also listen to his podcast. I think Nick is very, very talented. He's one of the best talking heads out there working today, in my opinion. Bill's been on this. Chuck Klosterman has been on this. You can get into the first takeification of all this, of like, how do you fix the NBA? And the NBA has got these two storylines that are a bit of a problem, in that they've got this great media rights deal. They'll point to all the social media metrics that show you that they're doing very, very well. But the conversation around the NBA, the ratings around the NBA, how people go to games, is not it does not match all of the things that Adam Silver points to show you that we're a healthy league. And Simmons, I'm going to pull this up because Simmons said this on the podcast. It was aggregated by Awful Announcing. And he said, quote, all this shit, everything they're doing, they're not serving the larger picture of what do fans want? How do we keep our players healthy? How do we have a competitive season from start to finish? How do we avoid the over 1/4 of the league not giving a shit for the last 2 months? How do we fix this? And this also is in combination with the fact that tanking is once again in the national discussion around the NBA and teams that are clearly using tanking as a strategy. Okay. Clearly using it as a strategy.
Utah taking it to a different level.
Yes. And we thought the process was the apex of tanking. Oh, no, sir. Utah's taking it to a different level.
Hey, we're going to let our guys play, so you can't ding us for not playing them. They're just not going to play in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Like,
oh, okay. What you mean? You mean the quarter where things really get real in the NBA? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you see where these two things are not matching up, where Adam Silver can tell you all these things, but the conversation around the NBA continues to be bad. Now, I don't want to engage in this in what you would describe as what I always get bothered by with the national discussion is usually the people holding this discussion are not Nick Wright and Bill Simmons who actually give a shit about the NBA. These discussions are not being had by Bomani Jones, who cares about the NBA. These discussions are being had by people who don't actually watch the NBA. They're bad faith arguments. They just like to stir the pot and say the NFL is superior. Usually that's where it's coming from anyways, from NFL guys just making sure that their best interest, the NFL is king, never gets questioned. So I don't like a lot of the conversations around the NBA, but clearly it is a problem that the NBA is trying to solve. And I don't know the answer to it.
It's a regular season problem. And Bill earlier in that same clip or same conversation talked about how they have to shorten the regular season. It's similar to what Major League Baseball faces. And you just can't get either side to agree to play fewer games because it means less money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ultimately what all this comes down to. But if you're going to have players sitting out anyway, and no one's going to play in 80 games, and you don't want to play back-to-backs, and you don't want to play more than 3 games in a 5-day span, well, then what's the point of playing them? Because you do want to save your players for the postseason. Like, I don't blame any of these teams who rest players for the playoffs. I don't blame any of them. Now, in the case of Utah, if you're not following, they have a draft pick that they lose if it's not in the top 8. So they're incentivized to not win. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Pacers, who were in the finals just a year ago. Tyrese Halliburton tears his Achilles in the finals, and they just happen to get off to a terrible start this year.
Yeah.
And they have an extra draft pick from New Orleans, and they have their own. So it's like they have 2 cracks at potentially getting top 5, top 10 picks that just so happen to coincide in a year where it's one of the deepest drafts that you're going to see in recent memory. So I think it's that double combination of look at all these great freshmen in college basketball. And there's a lot of teams who are in this situation because the Spurs perfected this, by the way. I'm not getting mad at the Pacers for going to a final and then tanking the next year when they lost their best player. Yeah. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I understand what the Pacers are trying to do. In fact, I appreciate the Pacers a little bit because I'm in a fantasy league with a bunch of Indiana guys and Pacer fans from Brian Lord.
Oh, gotcha.
But the other day they basically dressed every healthy player they could to beat the Knicks, like to tell the Knicks, "Fuck you, we still run this."
Yeah.
And then yesterday they were like, they played no one.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they were playing the Nets, who have also perfected the. Hey, we're gonna cut our most productive player. We don't want him to score.
I don't know how you solve that problem unless Adam Silver comes in. Unless Silver comes in and we get a new NBA commissioner, or there's a seance and they bring David Stern back.
No, there is a way to do this, and I believe it is English. It's either English soccer or some sort of European basketball league does this.
Mm-hmm.
After you've been eliminated from the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once you've been eliminated from the playoffs, you then earn draft stock with wins. Okay.
Oh,
so
right.
Your team's been eliminated. You're one of the 12 that won't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you want to be the first pick? If you win the most games,
from here on out,
you're the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
And that would solve a lot of problems for the NBA, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah. The issue with that though is what ends up happening to teams that are eliminated like within the last week. You see what I'm getting at?
Sure.
So you're almost there's almost no incentive at that point.
But if you look at the way that it's breaking apart right now,
there's a pretty clear line.
I mean, Joe,
Yeah.
the Bulls are a game and a half out of the last, the 10th, the last play-in spot in the East, and they literally just traded their whole team. Like they gave away their best player to Minnesota. They're one of their best players to Minnesota for a bag of rocks. Milwaukee has obviously shut down Giannis, even though he's probably not hurt. So that bottom five is a mess. And then Memphis has been in a hard tank pretty much all season. They're 5 games out of the last spot. So right now you got 10 teams, including Dallas, who just traded Anthony Davis and everything else. You got 10 teams right now, like they're not trying, like actively not trying.
You're hitting on the biggest problem that the NBA perception-wise has before we move on to some other off-season protocol things. I've seen a lot of discussion, and I'm interested by a lot of this discussion in terms of the mechanics of the NBA, the schedule. You know me, I'm of the attitude as attention spans continue to get more and more spread out that the slog of the regular season has to be adjusted. There's also, and there's been science behind this, studies behind this, the rate at which NBA players play in the regular season, where they go harder than what we saw. It's this ironic thing, right? NBA players are getting hurt more often because of a few different things that have been studied. One is the repetitive nature of a lot of the practice and the off-season drills and specialization, and you're actually overworking your body. And then when you do play, you have to give at a level that was different than the level back in the 80s.
Well, there's
90s.
Also more possessions, so it's a higher tempo game, and all.
So there's all sorts of things that go into the injury science of this. And some people want it. If you're going to go hard, then you should probably not play as many games. All right, understand that aspect of it. There's also the mechanics of the 2s versus the 3s. And you go look at NBA shot charts, the heat maps of how games in the 90s used to be played versus the games today. And you see a heat map where you saw an even distribution across the court and a lot of stuff inside, as if, we forgot the dunk. And then now it's nothing but, the heat map is nothing but from the outside at very specific spots on the court. And I've seen some radical ideas like get rid of the 3-pointer. Straight up, just get rid of the 3-pointer and see what happens.
I've seen get rid of the corner 3. I have not seen get rid of the straight up 3-point line. Oklahoma City winning last year was awful for the NBA because of the style of play, the way that they play, not because of like how they put their team together. They were brilliant in how they did it, but for all the free throws that they get and all of the just, hey, it's 3 or nothing.
Well, it's
like 3 or a free throw.
It's like we didn't talk about this, like when you saw some of the trades, like James Harden and whatnot, or Kevin Durant and various other things. It's like, what's James Harden's legacy going to be? Right?
Strip clubs. And
is there anybody that's like, 20 years from now when people are doing podcasts or whatever the format is and they're arguing about their favorite players, James Harden is not going to be one of those guys. It's like he's a guy without a home and he plays a particular way that nobody likes.
Yeah.
So nobody's out here riding for James Harden, even though statistically he is one of the best players to do it, but nobody actually rides for the guy.
One of the best scorers in league history. Yes.
So this leads to the larger problem. You can get through the mechanics, the injuries, the tanking, and all that other kind of stuff. The biggest problem the NBA has, and I don't know the answer to it, but they have to fix it, is how do you change the perception that these players don't give a shit? Now the teams themselves are not helping themselves by actively tanking, but there's also no, for lack of I hate to use the word loyalty, but when players essentially just bounce from place to place and they've got their own, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like the James Harden, you can't get your arms around James Harden. My guess is that Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, and James Harden would be completely viewed differently if they stayed in Oklahoma City their entire, if they never win a championship. None of them do. But they had their entire careers in OKC. Do you think they're probably viewed differently?
Yeah, of course.
So there's that aspect as well that has led to some people just disengaging with their overall enjoyment of the NBA. But those are larger issues that I'm not even quite sure an NBA commissioner can fix with any sort of rules changes or anything like that. The other side of offseason protocols are college football related. Okay. For instance, I thought this was interesting. Ohio State's AD cites valuable content as the reason for the college football playoff to expand. I want to repeat that again. Ohio State's AD cites valuable content. Not channel my AI. Not practice. Not the game I love. We're talking about content. That's all they care about. content. All right, we see the vision here. It's not really about putting together the best format to determine a national champion. They're looking at it from the context of inventory, eyeballs, television, and money. I kind of appreciate the Ohio State AD putting that out on Front Street. Meanwhile, the Pac-12 schedule came out. I thought this was interesting. There's a Week 13 flex. So you got 8 schools: Boise State, Colorado State, Fresno State, Oregon State, San Diego State, Texas State, Utah State, and Washington State. That is your new Pac-12. I just wanted to let people know who's in the Pac-12 now, because even I forgot.
Yeah.
That is a round robin that you can do. But with their new scheduling format, they will allow for a Week 13 home and home flex matchup. 4 teams, Colorado State, Fresno State, Utah State, and Washington State, are set to have home games in Week 13. The Pac-12 will retain the right to adjust the matchups based on the best interest of the league, including the college football playoff. And then the Pac-12 championship game will take place at a home venue of the highest seed on December 4th on CBS. This is from CBSSports.com. With a round robin, I don't quite understand it because everybody's played each other. That's the end of it. But this is something that Jim Phillips and the ACC should absolutely rip off, with an imbalanced schedule and all of the shenanigans that happened last year for the ACC championship and Duke in Miami. Can you imagine a flex before the ACC championship,
right,
instead of what we ended up with?
Yeah,
I think that's smart,
especially since some of those teams didn't see each other. So you could have had the play-in, but that's similar to what he thought about the previous year with having 4 teams go and having a play-in anyway.
The jamboree before that. Yeah, it's not too, you're right. It is not too dissimilar, but let's go out here and actually do it.
But this is giving every team a chance to play in the jamboree as opposed to just 4.
Yes, totally agree with you on that. Now, the other thing that I found interesting is that the former Nebraska athletic director, I had the story up here in a second. The gentleman's name, Bill Moose, was the athletic director at Nebraska from 2017 to 2021. He wrote a memoir. It's called Crab Creek Chronicles. He says in the memoir that he had breakfast with then Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby near the league office in Dallas to discuss Nebraska returning to the conference it had left in 2011 to join the Big Ten. The meeting wasn't specific in terms of time and various other mechanics, but why did he consider a return to the Big 12? Quote, following their team after it joined the Big Ten meant fans had to travel long distances, which proved to be both time-consuming and costly. This was conveyed to me on several occasions, and not just by farmers, ranchers, and small-town merchants, but also top-notch professionals, affluent business owners, and even a couple of members of the university's board of regents. Bowlesby apparently was receptive to the idea, but obviously it did not go through. The reason why I bring this up is because things like this and the recent rumor that Florida had kicked the tires on leaving the SEC to join the ACC because Miami just took home a whole bunch of money for showing up in the college football playoff championship. Florida's like, might be a better situation than ours in the SEC, even though we're guaranteed all this money, right? Shows you that conference realignment's never dead, man. It's always there for the taking. And something that we discuss all the time, yes, you can join these conferences for more money, but you are giving up a lot of things that people do not like, especially when it comes to travel. The Florida thing intrigues me, though.
Was Florida allegedly in South Carolina, right?
I saw South Carolina in the mix, yes, but I do think that Florida, there was actually something a little bit more to it with that. But who's to say? Maybe we'll find out more once we get into ACC kickoff territory. And finally, I'm going to bring this up on the YouTube and Instagram that you stumbled across, something that was fed to you.
All right, does this count?
So this is what? This is just some classic off-season football content. Yeah. What is this, 10 teams I don't love for 2026? All right.
And college football is still a ways away, but here are 10 teams I'm already not loving for 2026. We'll start at number 10 with South Carolina, a disappointing 2025, and a program that feels like it might be slipping through the cracks a little bit in the SEC. They're kind of running it back with a lot of their key pieces, and I just don't know if there was enough change to suggest that they can right a lot of the wrongs from last season. Toledo has been one of the most consistent programs in all of the FBS under Jason Candle, but Candle's gone now. They bring in Mike Jacobs, who doesn't have extensive Division I coaching experience, and I just feel that Toledo might regress a little bit. On paper, NC State has some decent returning production and some key offensive players returning. However, they lost a couple of stars that might keep this team from breaking through that ceiling that they've always had under Dave Doran. Oregon State took a big risk in hiring Jamarcus Shepard this off.
That ceiling that they've always had under Dave Doran. It's not that he thought they weren't going to be good. This true stray feels like that ceiling.
Is that?
You mean that ceiling?
Do we put $2 in for somebody out there catching? Since it's not one of our listeners, does
I'm
that go into the
going to
stray?
put $1 into the jar on that one, since it
It's
was
a
fed
halvesy?
to me.
Okay.
I did enjoy the verbiage though of that ceiling.
That's yeah, that's a stray. That's a stray.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Inovana. Check them out online at inovana.com. Green Cleaning Solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Inovana.
We've got OG Light Bracket Night that's taking place on March 16th at Longleaf Swine. You can go to oviasandgilio.com. I'm actually pulling up the website right now. You can go to oviasandgilio.com right now, and you click that button that says Get Tickets Here. So you can join us, Mia O'Brien, and Mitch Northam from the Women's Basketball Podcast. You will get a barbecue buffet. You will get dessert. You will get a pint of OG Light, and it's all for the low price of $51, $49 plus a $2 handling fee. So head on over to oviasandgilio.com, click on that button, Get Tickets Here, and we will see you on March 16th for a live podcast, some brackets, beer, and general fun. So again, go to oviasandgilio.com. You can also go to the Secret Stash, the OG.shop. Again, that's the OG.shop. Mikey P's got some cool designs. We will have another pop-up shop coming up soon. It'll probably drop when we're done with the NCAA tournament to get us ready for another tournament of sorts, the Stanley Cup playoffs. So be on the lookout for that. Big thanks to our friends at Hometown Realty. You can check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. You're thinking about selling your house? What's the market look like right now? What's the average turnaround time for selling your house? Looking at new construction. A lot of empty lots out there. What are the builder incentives? These are all questions you might have, and the answers are at Hometown Realty. So check them out online at myhtr.com. Also, big thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. You buy that house, you refinance with our guy at Miller Lending, take it to Whitaker and Hamer. They can close it for you. WH.lawyer. Again, that's WH.lawyer. Small business, you got some legal needs, contracts, looking at some policy. They can help you out with that as well. WH.lawyer. Again, that's WH.lawyer. And of course, our friends at, I'm all out of sorts today. I'm looking at the wrong ones. I'm terrible today. Where are we at here? Whitaker and Hamer, Hometown Realty. Let's do our guy, Matt Davis. I was looking at yesterday's show.
We were talking about Matt Davis all day because, maybe there's some sort of business insurance on them we should be angling for.
So it's funny
our own.
It's funny you bring that up. You got home and auto, right? Typical insurance that you're used to, right? And you got to save money. And Matt can help you on that. But maybe you got like a very specific business insurance policy you're looking at. You know who can handle that for you? Matt Davis. So hit him up today, insuregarner.com. Call him directly at 919-779-8277. And he can help you out with some financial planning as well. So again, insuregarner.com. And speaking of your finances, you need a fractional CFO for your small business. You need your taxes done. We got experts for you. Brassfield Accounting. Check them out online at brassfieldaccounting.com. We've talked about a fractional CFO handling your business needs throughout the year, tax preparation, but they'll actually do your taxes. And OG listeners, if you tell Chris that we sent you at brassfieldaccounting.com, he will do your personal taxes. So go check him out, brassfieldaccounting.com. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, it's Sara Civian. Check out our newsletter, the Civ Report. Always fun stuff there. Civ, what's up?
Howdy, y'all. How we doing?
I'm happy. I watched tape-delayed hockey yesterday with Finland just to feel something, Sara.
Yeah, that didn't turn out so well. So today we'll get something more entertaining, hopefully.
Although I appreciated the Canes fans yesterday making all the jokes. The first joke being, well, if you had Kokaniemi on this Finnish team, maybe they would have won that game.
What about Saku Melanainen? Where's he?
Oh, that's a callback. And then I forgot the Italian goalie's name. But Sweden was on that Canes run of like, let's just pepper you with 60 shots and come away with a 2-2 tie.
Yes, that was an extremely will allow making that about the Canes because I got some comments about the two. I'm like, you know what? It checks out. A bunch of shots, all for what?
It certainly checks out. Before we talk about some hockey on the men's side, the U.S. versus Canada on the women's side, best player out aside with Canada. Is this just a foregone conclusion with the women winning the gold?
Just top to bottom, you look at this team and it's absolutely stacked. The goaltending's there, the veteran presence is there, the pipeline of new hockey players that are American and women, it's absolutely bustling. And a few years ago, I had Hillary Knight on my podcast. She said, watch out for Layla Edwards. And just watching those two have the passing the torch of the chemistry and everything like that. And just, she's just everywhere in every position doing what I feel like the defense when it comes to women, it's kind of like new age where it's like the puck moving. They kind of started that movement and now we're kind of reaping the benefits in hockey everywhere, but just watching kind of the mobile defense women is awesome.
I saw it was a jokey meme that essentially, yes, Canada, you might have invented hockey, but the U.S. women have perfected it, given how they've been doing in international competition right now. Are we really like that now? Are we that far up and advanced past Canada right now on the women's side?
I mean, listen, it's the first time Team Canada has been shut out in like over 40 Olympic games ever. So there's that. The shutout, I think if it was a closer game, like no duh, it would be more of a conversation. But I think the absolute dominance this team had, again, from top to bottom, right? Like the defense did not let them get much in. The offense was firing on all cylinders. And I think the team effort and just kind of that goal where she was falling down and then she's kind of yelling and talking her smack. I'm like, I think that's my confidence for Team USA.
Was there any outrage before the tournament that the US and Canada were in the same group?
I didn't see much of that, but that is a great question, honestly, because I was wondering about that similarly. Like, I don't know how that ended up working out because we want to see Team Canada and Team USA in the gold medal game. That's why we're here, right? That's one of the best sporting events ever. So we'll see how it plays out. I can't imagine any other team beating Canada, though.
On the men's side today, Canada wins 5-0 over Czechia.
Czechia.
Yeah. Like, pick a name, guys, please. Honestly.
Czechoslovakia.
What was wrong with that?
I don't know. It's their country. Let them do what they want to do, man. It's not our country.
It's fair. No Seth Jarvis in this game, but what were you excited, like most of us around here, to see Seth get the late call and his boys get to be able to travel over there as well?
Yeah, Canada's a vibe. I love that Air Canada made it happen with getting his boys there. And that just adds such a little element of whimsy, no matter if Jarvis is playing or not. It's just like he's one of the best emerging personalities in the game because he's humble like that and has his childhood friends. I think we all love a down-to-earth player that's also really skilled. And it's cool to see Jarvis step into that role for sure. But Canada, yeah, they are scary good as we anticipated.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you're talking about vibes and whatnot. One of our listeners had joked watching the Finland game yesterday. It's like, these guys do not look like they're having fun. These guys do not look like they're vibing. I'm thinking to myself, they're just Finnish. I think that's how, when you put a whole team of Finns together, they're all just kind of low key like that. I don't see what the issue is.
Yeah, that they miss Barkov. They're all pouting for Barkov, I guess. But no, you have to be around Finnish people enough to know that like smiling, it doesn't mean like the lack of smiling per 60 doesn't mean much.
This is true. All right. So there's been a lot about the Four Nations tournament last year and a carryover effect into this Olympic tournament. And I guess from like a 5,000 foot view, you're thinking, all right, you got the US, you got Canada, you got a little sizzle between these two. Are they essentially constructed the same? Are we expecting more of the same from the Four Nations, or is this just different?
Well, guess what, guys? We can't fight in the Olympics. So that kind of has a little element of confusion there with like, okay, they really went all in with the Tkachuk of it all, right?
Yes.
Like Austin Matthews, not Matthew Tkachuk, the captain. And then Hughes is back, and there's another defenseman that we're watching out for that wasn't there last year. And I feel like the defense is just going to be the best we've ever seen it. And we did get a taste of that at the Four Nations. And obviously they went, I guess John Cooper went with Binnington and net. So they're kind of keeping it the same lineup there. And then with America. We'll see what happens with who is in net, because that'll be interesting. But other than that, we're going to expect a better defense because Quinn Hughes, and it was already the best defense that in any nation. But we're obviously worried about the offense.
Did John Cooper dress up as an Italian playing a Cuban gangster in Italy? I'm now interested.
Yeah, Sig's inside. He is smoking them.
He's in his bag with his, he's got his little mocha pot, and he's got his Italian cigarettes. I'm sure he's living his best life right now. It's funny, you're talking about the defense in the U.S. This gets us to the Carolina Hurricanes and people watching with great interest. I guess the first one would be, what's up with Jacob Slavin? It is, how is the Olympic tournament going to factor into his return and being back to 100% with, eyes on the prize for the Stanley Cup. You also have Freddie Anderson. Can he get right in the Denmark net? Can he find old Freddie while he's at the Olympics and then have that carry over into the regular season? I think those are probably the two most interesting storylines related to the Canes: Slavin's status and how Freddie's head is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think maybe that's a good kind of headspace cleanse for Freddie. I guess we'll see how he actually plays and what happens. But even if it's an early exit, maybe the break to kind of reset where he's not trying to churn out all these minutes. And because if he has the opportunity, he will, and sometimes to his own detriment. So it could be nice if he has either a little break or maybe he's with countrymen who maybe understand him. He can kind of also the perspective. It's always interesting with these international tournaments, like perspective you gain from different coaches. Maybe there's a good goalie coach there that he can kind of just kind of bounce off of. So we'll see what happens there. Slavin, just the brutal injuries that have happened to him when he tries to get back in the lineup. Yeah. I really feel for him. It just stinks. So we'll see what he looks like out there. But obviously that's a huge factor because he's probably the best player on Team America at Four Nations.
I feel like the one thing people forget about the success of the Four Nations, and you're right about the fighting, and obviously everything that was going on with the political climate at the time between Canada and U.S. and has only deteriorated even further, is the professional players weren't allowed to play in the Olympics and other tournaments. So we had this gap where we didn't see Connor McDavid play for Canada. We didn't see Jack Eichel play for the United States. We didn't see some of the things that
2014 was the last time we saw NHLers in the Olympics, right?
Yeah, Sochi.
And I feel like that time apart is what made the absence, made the heart grow fonder. I wonder having it just the next year and still no Russians too. I know they're the Olympics and they're allegedly supposed to care about such things. Yeah. But come on now.
No, looking at the Russian goaltending depth, what would have been, that could have been an insane fold in this competition.
Yeah, keep the Canes away from that team. Do not let the Canes play that team.
They're not allowed. Not allowed.
We get to see that every year in the playoffs.
You do wonder about the novelty of the event, right? But I don't know. I was fired up watching Canada. I've been fired up watching anything. It is, like most things, what you make of it, right? Okay, these guys seem, and it's what the guys make of it too. They kind of made Four Nations more than what it was because of they actually really wanted to take this seriously as opposed to an all-star game. And this year it is even more special because it's the Olympics. It's different. And like you said, McDavid has not made his Olympic debut yet. I mean, I guess he just did minutes ago, but just so many guys that haven't had this opportunity yet. And it means a lot with all the political climates everywhere, but I don't think we have to worry about the caring factor of it.
Getting local here before we say goodbye. What has been the overall impression of the Canes on a national discussion point? It feels like Giglio said this the other day. It feels like we're always saying that this might be Rod Brind'Amour's best work, right? And, you talk about last year with some of the changes they had to make, navigating the Mikko Rantanen drama at the trade deadline, making work with what you got and then getting the Eastern Conference Finals. Pretty good job, if you ask me, from Rod Brind'Amour. This year, it's been the injuries, right? Not really having a full lineup for most of the year. Your defense has been a patchwork. They've made that work, and here they are flirting with either the top of the conference and clearly the top of the division. It's just one of these funny things where it's like, how many times can we say, hey, Rod's doing a really good job here with the Hurricanes?
100%. And it kind of is like the Groundhog Day of over and over again. That's not usually how life ends up working out, but it's kind of our brains categorizing it as such. And that's happening with the Canes, I think, where it's just like, all right, guys, there's chaos in the East. There's chaos in the Atlantic. There's chaos in the West with kind of those top three teams in the Central. Okay, we trust you, Canes. We know you're going to be good in the regular season. And now, though, look at the path that's kind of clearing for Eastern Conference Final if you don't have to face the Panthers. I think that's the conversation now, where it's like, yes, the Hurricanes have been one of the few teams that have been able to sustain. I mean, the Lightning are another one too, like sustain success despite the injuries. I think it's all about depth this year, but also when it comes to the Hurricanes, it's also you have to have that top scorer. I wonder what they're going to do at the deadline, but at the same time, they've really held their own, and we trust they're like all reliable there. But it could be an interesting path to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that's the interesting. What did Nick Saban used to call it? Rat poison, right? With players reading the paper and reading the websites and just kind of believing their own hype. I know this was going to happen. I mean, the Florida Panthers aren't going to make the playoffs, so that rat poison is going to settle in, not for the Canes, but it'll probably settle in for the fans saying, hey, our big nemesis is out of the way. Like, how do you not? As if, Tampa's not really good, right? But it does show you that Dundon's whole idea of our window doesn't close might actually be proving true, because if you see these teams go up and down, remember the Rangers weren't that long ago. We were talking about a team on the come up. Now they're writing letters saying, all right, we're hitting the reset button while having a fire sale. Yes, the Florida Panthers won 2 Stanley Cups. That's amazing. But here they are looking like might not even make the Stanley Cup playoffs. Whereas the Canes just keep plugging away and keep giving themselves chances. And it's pretty impressive.
No, it really is. Like, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Dundon was right, and we should give him credit for the team that he's built. Like, yeah, maybe part of the motivation of that is to get butts in seats and to have consistent revenue, right?
Yeah.
But you can't have a team without the revenue to begin with. And it also, the team is good, boo-hoo, right? Like, if you have a like starting point to tweak with, and I guess people didn't trust at the beginning of the tenure of this new regime of like, are you going to actually tweak with it, right? Because at deadline passed in the Francis era and in the Carmanos era, it was just not that much being done. You're at like the cap floor or around that. And now every year it's to the cap, and it's smart. So I feel like you actually do have to go back in retrospect and give Dundon credit for this, because now, like you said, like the rat poison and all that, but at the same time, they have held their own instead of kind of needing to surrender to a retool. And now this opportunity without the Panthers kind of opens up.
All right, so they're making a move, right? They got to get a second line center. They got the cap space. That's what's going to get them over, right?
It seems like they would be. Why wouldn't they make a move? It seems like they have shown that they will, and they are willing to. And with all of this injury talk and these injuries, that you're learning you got to stack up and like stock up just in case. And also, it's just like the Kokoniemi thing. I don't know. Are they going to move him, buy him out, create more space there? Because that would be great. Sorry to him, but
it's funny. If you were still here covering the team, you would be deep into the Kokoniemi online wars, where there are true believers out there that feel that it's actually Rod's fault that a different coach could get more out of KK. And it's like, okay, fine, whatever. It is what it is. But the question is, you can move Kokoniemi if somebody wants him, right? And that's kind of the issue, right?
Yes, but it could be like he's in a package with an asset that goes. This is going to be a really weird market because, first of all, the Olympic freeze. Second of all, some big deals have already been done with Hughes, Anderson, and Panarin. So then it's like there's so many people out east competing for a playoff spot too that it's going to be like the buyer seller situation. I don't know. People are going to get creative, and one thing I trust the Canes with is creativity in a trade. So that makes me excited to see what they're going to do, but it's also really unpredictable.
Well, as long as you got Brandon Bussey, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean,
go
figure.
The magic is there. Sara Civian, the Civ Report is the newsletter. I subscribe. It's fun. You should subscribe too. Check it out, thecivreport.com, and that'll take you to the Substack. That takes you to, or is it civreport.substack.com? Yes,
but people could figure it out. I trust you guys.
Yes. You know what? Google it. That's the easiest way to find it.
I win.
Google Civ. She writes good stuff. All right, Civ, we appreciate it. We will talk to you later.
Of course. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Big thanks to our friends at Bloomin' Blinds. We got another After Dark coming your way on Tuesday following the NC State Carolina game. I'm sure
special edition.
I'm sure opinions will be very, very calm, collected, rational.
Won't be any overreacting.
Zero overreaction on either side based on the result of that game. None. I I'm sure the OG Sports phone will be nice and calm that day.
Normal.
Just more AI slop being sent our way, right? Check out Bloom and Blinds. They bring you the after darks, and they can bring you some home automation as it relates to shades. They can fix your blinds too. You got that 3 seasons room, that 4 seasons room. You're not getting as much use out of it for whatever reasons. The sun hits you at the wrong time. Hey, they can hang up shades for that too. It all starts with a call, 919-980-9815. BloomIn.blinds.com. Tell them we sent you. You get 10 or more window treatments. You'll get 10% off. Big thanks to our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Speaking of the outside of your house, so you want to enjoy your back deck, right? Mosquitoes make it a little difficult. So start thinking about those treatments now. You can even go so far to get misting systems to keep all those bugs away while you're trying to cook, trying to chill out on your outdoor furniture and enjoy the weather. All of that is at bugsbite.com, Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You've got Valentine's Day coming up. With Valentine's Day, you might be thinking about a date night. I highly suggest that the date night ends at Two Roosters. Go to Two Roosters, and
Well, you could start at the Swine.
you could start at the Swine and then go to the Person Street location.
Yep.
You could do that.
Yeah. Perfect.
Maybe you're not there. Maybe what you do is you actually get some stuff to take home from Longleaf Swine.
Could always do that.
You might be living over by the Greystone Village area. And you can get because you can get the stuff ready to heat from Longleaf. And then you can go to Two Roosters after that. Either way, make it a full-on, fun and exciting Valentine's Day with Two Roosters. Go to tworoosters.com. It is Lovers Month at Two Roosters. You get the chocolate lovers, the peanut butter lovers. They got all sorts of fun stuff. So check them out at tworoosters.com. And, of course, our friends at Roback. Check them out online at roback.com. Use that promo code OG20. Roback went and did it. You see what they did?
Button-down shirt?
No. Now they have what they call the Club Classic.
Oh.
It is your core polo.
Okay.
Their most popular styles of polos. They're performance polos. Without the logo on it.
Really?
Minimum branding.
Whoa.
Yeah, some people get a little weird about the branding and things like that, but they like the design. They like the shirts and all that kind of stuff. So Roback, I guess.
I thought you were going to be happy because they made button-downs.
Wait, I didn't see that. Did they finally do it?
Yeah.
I mean, Ben told me they were going to make button downs. I didn't realize they had actually come out. The Dublin collection, your favorite collection.
Yes.
Where are the button downs?
Men's Tailwind Performance sports shirts.
Hold up. Look at this. They finally did it. I mean, I knew they were happening, but it's like, they finally, look at this. Who needs
The Rock has come back.
this right here? Who needs an Oxford shirt when you can get one of these bad boys? I'm excited about this. I'm going to have to order one.
There you go.
I like it. Let's freaking go. Excited about this. So go to roback.com. Check
Use
them
our
out.
promo code.
Use that promo code, kids. That way you save 20% off. That's what it's all about. So again, roback.com. They've got hoodies. They've got sweatpants. And now, much to my excitement, they have the button-down shirts. Let's go. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, NC Rabbit Hole is the newsletter. He is Jeremy Markovich. Jeremy, what's going on, man?
Not much, man.
How into the Olympics are you right now?
I'm very into them. I'm at the point where when the kids walk in the door, I will just hit them with the Olympic march just on the speaker, like dun 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 dun, and they're like, "Okay, Dad, this was funny like the first 2 or 3 times you did it. We don't need this is not like my walk-up music." It's okay.
Yeah. I finally got roped into the Olympics this week on a couple of different things. One, the hockey started up. So we got that. 2, we had the Norwegian biathlete go on worldwide television to be like, yo, take me back. Sorry for cheating on you, which was fantastic. But then the true sign the Olympics have arrived. We've got a judging scandal with ice dancing, thanks to who else but a French judge who was rating the French couple who's got their own problematic story arc leading into this Olympics that we're not going to get into right now, just that there is one. But shockingly, the French judge was judging the French couple higher than everybody else compared to the American couple that I believe finished for silver medal.
Yeah. This is the one thing that I really enjoy how far the Olympics have come in terms of like now they launch a drone and chase the skiers down the hill, which is incredible. I'm like, oh my God, they're fast. Like that's nuts.
It is amazing television now that
Yes.
they've added the drone footage from the luge, the bobsled, the ski jumping, and of course the downhill and the
Yeah.
Super G. That's some incredible television. So I'm
Yeah.
all in on that. But the reason why we bring you on is we're going to tap into the NC Rabbit Hole archives over at your newsletter. And the story of the Olympic torch, or one of the Olympic torches that spent nearly a decade in an evidence locker.
Yes. Yeah. So the story goes that, and if you haven't been around North Carolina long enough to remember, you may remember, the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, and that was a very big deal. And Atlanta fairly close to parts of our state. And so when that happened, there was a gigantic torch relay, and like the torch went all around North Carolina, went to like the Triad, it went through a bunch of different places, Raleigh, Charlotte, Hendersonville, went up to Cherokee at one point. And when that happens, basically every little community gets to pick somebody that goes out and like carries the torch for about a half a mile or something like that. So one of the people that got selected was a guy named Andrew Crater. And Andrew Crater was a cyclist. He set up shop in Asheville. And his deal was he kind of realized, like, you know what, I'm good, but not quite good enough to be in the Olympics. And so at one point, to recognize him, they give him a chance to not just run with the torch, but to cycle with the torch. So they built him like a custom bike with like a rack for the torch to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And he cycled it. So he actually got to like carry on his bike the torch for longer than most other folks.
So we're live on YouTube right now. If you are listening via podcast, I'm going to bring up this photo from Jeremy's website, ncrabbithole.com. This is the photo. And I mean, this is just peak. Like everything about this is peak, right down to the BMW station wagon. But yes, you can see the customized bike rack for the torch itself for this gentleman to go with.
It looks like a giant bong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, anything could be if you're creative enough.
I mean, you're right. It's a good point.
I have not searched to see like YouTube for like making Olympic torch into bong. But maybe you could look that up here real quick.
Although given that it was in evidence locker in Asheville, North Carolina, I'm sure somebody did try to turn it into a bong.
The torch got a contact high from being in the Asheville police locker for a long time. By the way, on that picture, I will like to point out that this is a very Greensboro coded thing where like if you look in the background of it, he's doing the thing, he's on the bike.
Okay.
And in the background, you can kind of see these white things. Like that's the big tank farm where they keep all the gas out by I-40. Like it's that's the landmark. Yeah. So that's a very that's Greensboro's skyline. Like, Charlotte has a nice one. We get the tank farm. That's the skyline of Greensboro.
Hey, just so you know, call 411 if you're ever going to dig. That's all.
That's true. That's true. So Andrew gets the chance and he carries the torch, and this is big honor for him. And one of the things is like people ask, like, do you get to keep the torch? And the answer is like, yeah, but you have to buy it. It's a couple of $100. And most people are like, you know what? That's a small price to pay to be able to do it. So he bought it, and so he had it, and the thing about these torches is some people put them on display, some people like above their fireplace, some people just one woman from like Concord just like kept hers in like the laundry room, like just wrapped up like it was just a thing you throw into storage. And I also asked Charlotte folks know Larry Sprinkle, the WCNC weatherman who worked with back in the day. I kind of asked him, like, he's a goofball. He's very reverent about the torch. And I was like, did you ever try to like relight it? Like, did you ever like get it out for a party and be like, let me fire this thing up? He's like, no, I wouldn't dare. This is a huge honor, that sort of thing. Like, so
we would show no reference if we got for instance, we got the Olympics coming to LA. If there was ever, if somebody wanted to suggest this show to carry the torch down Fayetteville Street at one point, we would probably find it in the budget to buy that torch as a keepsake to put here in the studio.
Yeah.
Joe would absolutely wait until his Christmas tree is good and dry to then use the Olympic torch to make that thing go up in flames.
There you go. Like, what better to ignite your Viking funeral
I love it.
than the Olympic torch. Which, by the way, apparently Larry said like it's been more than a decade. It still smells a little bit like butane. So it's still got this kind of little reverent thing. I don't know if Larry's like walking around like sniffing the torch a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why are you still checking? Like, how do you know?
Every day, once a week, whether you need to or not.
I love that.
Andrew,
811
though.
when you dig, by the way.
What's that? Yeah.
Right, 811, not 411. My bad.
What are you sending people to like call
What's the
911
411?
before you dig?
Yeah, what's the 411, Joe?
Call the cops and hang up before you
811.
dig.
I don't know.
Just make sure. We would love.
I did not say call 911 before a gas line. Okay.
It's
Call 811, not 411.
Public service.
Star 69 to see you called you back. All right.
111.
Yeah. Anyway,
Check
sorry.
your voicemail and call the cops. We talking about the dude from Asheville, right? I don't even remember.
Olympic torches. All right. So
I mean, it's a railless. But
So
can we get some context here? Can we start over in this sense? There's more than one Santa Claus, because he's needed to get everyone's order for Christmas. There's more than one Olympic torch.
Yes,
more than one. You don't have a the one person has it. They kind of do the thing like it's like like on Christmas Eve where they tell you to like, hey, like, take the candle and like lean into the that's kind of how they pass it off.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
And
one
so-
Olympic flame.
yes.
One
Although
flame.
in Milano Cortina there are two.
Okay.
They have two torches.
There's more than one. And I believe, if I'm memory serves right, there's a backup. So like in case you're like,
Yeah, just in
oh
case.
no, it goes out, they can relight it. It's like you
Right.
didn't just kill
Okay.
it and then have to go back to Greece to light it on Mount Olympus.
All right. So while there was a relay in the state of North Carolina, this guy got a custom thing made for his bike. Now, was he robbed of this flame, of this
So
torch?
he had it for a while. So you have to go all the way up into 2012. So he carried it in the 90s. And then he had this thing in 2012. And by the way, he's in Asheville. He's running a cycling team, working for like an energy bar company. And this is just like a keepsake that he has. And he's moving, he's switching apartments. And then he gets home one day and he discovers that some of his stuff is gone. The first thing he knows is like, oh, my bike's gone. And then he's like, oh no, the torch is gone. And so the first thing he did is like, he starts calling around pawn shops and found out that like a pawn shop in Asheville had paid $200 for the torch. You're like real, like vintage, Olympic torch. The guy's like, I'll give you $200 for it.
I mean, yeah, that tracks. That tracks. It's like going to a GameStop, the old electronics boutique. I'll give you. I paid $60 for this game. It's cute. I'll give you $5 for it.
Yeah.
Maybe $8 in trade. I wonder if you've gotten more in trade for the Olympic torch.
I don't know. Is that one of those things where the pawn shop guy is going, I know this means a lot to you, but to me, it's just a torch, man.
Torch, nobody cares.
Like I can light my grill with a lot of things.
So it really was sold for $200?
$200. So then he calls the police.
Okay.
And they like immediately figured out who it was, right? And they figured out that the guy who stole it was like the guy who was moving. He was moving in while Andrew was moving out. Or, I'm sorry, he was moving out while Andrew was moving in. So like they were kind of like overlapping, whatever. And the guy just like, oh, I'm going to take a bike and a torch. I'm sure he won't miss it. And so they immediately caught the guy. This is 2012. Okay, January 2012. 2 months later, the guy was convicted of larceny. Okay, so this was like not a big drawn out case. Like immediately he was like, called a pawn shop, figured out where it was, then police figured out who it was. They got it back. The guy was convicted 2 months later. And then just like, this is the mystery part of the story. He just didn't get it back. Like maybe something procedural or like whatever, but like literally the Olympic torch sat in the like Asheville police's evidence locker for 7.5 years. And like, I called like, what was the holdup? And the police were like, yeah, we forget. We don't know. We forgot. Sorry. We don't have an answer for you. And so they just held on to it for 7.5 years and they finally got back. So he has it back. He's had it back since 2019. So he only got it back like 6 years ago. And by the way, he sold it when he asked the police. How much do you think he told the police it was worth? So we know how much it's sold for at the pawn shop.
It's sold for. Well, I mean, look, with the memories and everything else attached to it, there is no value you can place on that Olympic torch.
Yeah.
So I would say
if you had one, what would you?
If I had one as a collector's item, and knowing what some of these sports tchotchkes go for, I would say an Olympic torch. I would put it at the value of $500.
Okay. It was he valued it at 15 grand.
15.
It meant a lot to him. He's like, sentimental value is 15 grand.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Well, now you got me curious. I'm going to go on eBay right now.
I bet you could. Yeah.
Olympic.
I mean, you don't even have to wait. You can just buy one now and put it in the studio.
I want to see. Oh, okay. I'm looking at it right now. Apparently, Olympic torches. You can find a 2004 Athens Olympics torch, original. I'm going to pull this up on YouTube if you're watching right now.
Low mileage.
Low mileage. It's $1,000 right now.
Okay.
You get the Vancouver Olympic torch 2010 for nearly $600. So that was about right. That was about right. Like $500. New listing. Olympic torch Salt Lake City relay. $599. So 15 grand? Nah, buddy, you're asking for way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much.
Yeah, but like, dude, was it the one that Muhammad Ali had in Atlanta in 1996? Is it the one like the blind guy shot an arrow from 17 years away from? Like, I mean, I don't think the archer was blind. I just embellished that story. So.
Okay. Yeah, and Gord Miller, who's going to join us here in a little bit to talk numbers and refinance.
Someone who knows collectibles.
Who knows collectibles. He says that common torches post 1990 often sell for $1,500 to $5,000, while scarce early historic torches, such as the 1952 Helsinki torch, can exceed $500,000. So yeah, I'm guessing this guy was asking for too much. Although I'm staying on the eBay here because Joe, do you see that pennant? 1996 Olympic torch relay pennant for $18.
That's us.
I mean, I might just buy that.
I like it.
I like.
Can I tell? By the way, if we're gonna go into torch lore, this is not a North Carolina story, but this is maybe the seminal moment in Olympic torch history.
Yeah.
So this is back in 1956. So I was researching what the torch is all about. I found this story and I just want to tell it to you. So this is like when, in Australia, it's going through Australia. In Sydney, there's this guy that like got a chance to run. They're doing the relay, and there's this guy. He runs a leg of the torch relay, and then like the local police, they bring him up on stage, and he like hands the torch off to the mayor of whatever town he's in. And then what happened next was, the mayor is like, something's wrong. And then he's like, well, first off, this torch is sticky because the paint on it, the silver paint had not yet dried.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody like leans over into the mayor's ear and they said, that's not the torch. And then the mayor realized he was not actually holding the torch. He was holding a wooden chair leg topped by a plum pudding can, inside of which was a pair of kerosene-soaked underwear that was burning. And then a few minutes later, the actual runner with the actual Olympic torch showed up. So you got to make sure that what you're holding is the real torch, not a chair leg with burning underwear on top.
It's not a tiki from my backyard that I'm dressing up with some silver spray paint as some sort of Olympic torch. All right, Jeremy, before we say goodbye, you just dropped this on ncrabbithole.com. It's headlined, "The Untold Story of the Guy Who Broke into a Pizza Shop and Started Selling Pizzas." Where else could this happen than little old Kinston, North Carolina, at a Little Caesars during the snowstorm?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that the number one reaction to the story was like, wow, this doesn't surprise me at all for Kinston.
No, not at all.
No.
Best part is he did it twice.
Like,
That's amazing.
He came back.
So hold up. So
more peaches to sell.
So while we're dealing with the snow, and we have our dry slot here in the triangle, we're not really dealing with a lot of snow. We've discussed ad nauseum why that was the case. Shout out to our meteorologist friends for joining us. But on either side of us, they were getting a lot of snow. They got a lot of snow in Kinston. So what? The guy was just trying to do a service, right?
I mean,
Little Caesars to serve the community, right?
I mean, at some point, somebody showed up to the Little Caesars and they were like, "Do you have pizza?" And the guy inside of the Little Caesars was like, "Yes." Does he work there? No. Did he used to work there? Yes.
Okay.
Does he know how to make a pizza? Is he going to charge $10 for it? Sure. Like it's just like And then people were like, somebody went on Facebook and was like, free pizza at Little Caesars. And people started like going to Little Caesars. And so he told the police, like, yeah, I sold like 10 pizzas.
Okay.
Like, good for you. And everybody's like, folk hero, modern folk. He was feeding people during a tough time.
Yeah, I think that's a great story.
But the
Yeah.
second time, he got his ass kicked.
The second time he went in there, and the dad told the police, "quote I gave him an ass whooping," and I mean, it's look, if somebody shows up in the Little Caesars in the middle of the night, and you're, by the way, the whole family that like runs the Little Caesars was sleeping there. That's like what, and then they roll in. There's a guy there.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And they're like, "Oh God, what's this?" And then they beat him up. That was the first reaction.
I could see why he was beat up in that situation. He didn't know what was going on.
Nah.
But he was just,
well, they knew him because he used to work there.
He used to work there. Oh yeah, he's like,
hey, leave, and he was like, nah, I'm good.
I'll help you sell pizzas.
They didn't do the thing, which is like when somebody leaves a job, you have to change the password on all your stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you don't, you're not that you're responsible for what happens. But like,
hey,
like
man,
how'd you get in? He's like, didn't change the lockbox code.
Hey, Jeremy, day we got fired, as we were being told we were not being brought back, my phone lit up and it was my Microsoft team saying, hey, your credentials. No, like, can you log back in? I'm like, oh, dang, they're doing this right now.
Wow. Fucking Wi-Fi.
They did change the Wi-Fi. You're right. They did change the Wi-Fi.
They did. There was a publication in Charlotte years ago that laid off, I think, all of its staff, but did not do this. And so for a good, I don't know, day before they could get a handle of the situation, that publication's Twitter feed was a lot. It was very entertaining to watch from afar.
I would never.
Who
like that?
Who among us would do that? I mean, none of us.
Jeremy Markovich.
Keep doing the Lord's work, man.
NCRabbitHole.com. It's a fantastic newsletter. I highly recommend you go subscribe. Throw Jeremy some money too, so he keeps doing cool stories like this, man. Always sending you down some intriguing stories, to say the least. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
All right, see y'all.
The beauty of doing things live here on the podcast for Butcher's Market OG Live. While we're having that conversation with Jeremy Markovich from NC Rabbit Hole, got the email and then the eventual social media release from Carolina basketball as it relates to Caleb Wilson. This was from Steve Kirshner, who initially emailed this out, and now it's all over social media. University of North Carolina freshman Caleb Wilson is out with a fracture in his left hand, an injury he suffered in the first half of Tuesday's game at Miami. X-rays taken during the game were negative, and he returned to play later in the second half versus the Hurricanes, but additional imaging done in Chapel Hill revealed the fracture. The evaluation process is ongoing to determine the timetable for Wilson's return. The Atlanta native leads the Tar Heels with 19.8 points, 9.4 rebounds per game. He has set UNC freshman records by scoring in double digits in all 24 games to begin his career with 17 20-point games. I'm glad that Kirshner put the context in there about him returning to the game with a heavily wrapped up hand. Because I'll go back to the Hubert Davis press conference, and R.L. Bynum, Tar Heel Tribune is the YouTube account, and he went down to Miami, and this is the post-game interaction between R.L. and Hubert Davis when he was asked about Caleb Wilson and his return after being out, I think, for like 6 minutes and coming out with a heavily wrapped up hand.
R.L. then Spencer.
What was Caleb's situation with his left hand?
There is no situation.
I mean, he's heavily wrapped. I mean, did that impair his ability when he came back?
Not to my knowledge.
So there you go. That was Hubert Davis after the loss to Miami. Obviously, we have more context now, and we don't know when he'll be back. They got games, Saturday, and then obviously the NC State Carolina game on Tuesday. If he's not in the game, if he's not going to play in these upcoming matchups, I'm not saying Carolina can't overcome the absence of Caleb Wilson, but clearly he is a key ingredient to what they've been doing this season.
No, they'd be lost without him. This is not Duke without Cooper Flagg last year. This is not NC State this year. Finding a way to win when Darian Williams doesn't score. He has been the engine, the driver, the bus driver, you name it, the heartbeat, emotional leader, all of those things. Their best player, their best defender. He leads the team in steals and blocks. He's second on the team in assists as well. You saw it on Monday when he wasn't great. They couldn't win the game.
Yeah.
And the Dean Smith rule will kick in for Saturday when you lose your best player. The other players raise the level of their game, and they can do it for a game, maybe two, which would obviously cover the NC State game as well. But this is not great for Carolina and what they're trying to do. Now, the good news, they have banked wins now over Duke, Kansas, and Kentucky. The Duke win, not going anywhere. The Kansas win gets better by the day. The Kentucky win, also getting better as the weeks go along, and Kentucky looks like a tournament team. So Carolina, as Patrick Stevens likes to say, something catastrophic could happen to Carolina over these final 7 or 8 games, and they'll still get in.
Yes.
Okay. But obviously they're not going anywhere without Caleb Wilson. That's how they're built this year. And we only have limited evidence of when he's even had an off game, let alone when they've had to play without him.
Even considered the off games, he still has his spurts. He still has his moments where he contributes. And in the second half against Miami, when he came back in, again, it's not his dominant hand, so he's still out there playing with a heavily taped hand. It does make me wonder what they're comfortable and what he's comfortable doing with what's the level of the fracture, right? You know, like
Joe,
if you didn't get the initial. Look, I'm just following the logic here. You got the initial X-rays down in Miami. Nothing came up. He's back out there playing. Maybe he got aggravated as the game went on. I don't know. I'm just speculating here.
He's going to want to play.
He's going to want to play.
They can't play him until it's 1,000%, because he's got a lot of money coming to him in a few months.
Yeah,
I know he's already making a bunch this year. He's got real money coming to him in a few months, and they can't risk, trading that for whatever short-term gain for his long-term future.
Yeah.
And they can't put him at risk. And they wouldn't. That's not something that Carolina would do. But I had to chuckle slightly because, I've already gotten the text from my NC State fans. Oh, look, Caleb Wilson's out. And all I could think back was the lost year of 2020. Remember the lost year of 2020? When Carolina was not good.
Not good.
2020, they were 14-19. They did have a singular freshman star in Cole Anthony. And remember, it was supposed to be, oh man, Cole Anthony is going to be first round pick.
He spent a good chunk of that year hurt.
He did, including the first game against NC State over at Marcus Page Arena, where NC State lost to Carolina without Cole Anthony. Garrison Brooks with 25 points. Yeah. The true difference maker in that game was our guy, Andrew Platek. The Plate Tectonics had 8 points in that game, made 4 of his 5 shots. Who needs Cole Anthony when you got Andrew Platek?
NC State got swept by that Carolina team.
Anthony did play in the second game.
Yes.
This game, January 27th, 2020, is notable because that was a Monday. And either it wasn't the next day, but it was a day later. I got a phone call from Kevin Keats. Like, hey man, like you've been around here a long time. Like when did NC State go to the Final Four? Like when was NC State winning all these championships that I missed? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, we lose to Carolina and everyone's like all upset. And I go, okay, hold.
I remember this story.
I said, hey, first year you lost the first year you beat them and then you lost, and it was like, hey, but that was a really good Carolina team, right? I said next year they had Kobe White, they had a war machine. I mean, nobody was going to be like, hey, come on, Kev.
Yeah.
This team,
not this team, man.
There are years when they're down and State fans adjust their own expectations. Like, hey, you don't got to be Carolina in 05. You don't got to be Carolina in 09. But when they're reloading the next year,
when Matt Doherty's going 8-20,
well, Herb did take care of those teams.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When Carolina's going 8-20, even Herb Sendek took care of business in those.
The only time he could take care of Carolina.
Exactly.
So that's where I'm getting a little bit of a Cole Anthony flashback. Not that Caleb Downs has, Caleb Wilson has been 1,000 times better than Cole Anthony.
Yes. Kelly sees it in Wisconsin, calling it. State beats UNC on Tuesday with Wilson out, but in the ACC tournament, Wilson returns and he goes off to beat NC State. Or just straight up pessimistic, Caleb will magically be back in time for the state game. I don't know about that. Don on the YouTubes, he's not going to be out for too long. The fact that he continued to play the other night shows that it's a very minor injury, but still an injury, and his future is a lot brighter than just UNC. And then, what to Don's point, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. I'm not trying to play like armchair doctor here.
Yeah.
I'm simply saying this is something that they initially did not see in the X-rays, and he goes out there heavily taped to play with the utmost precaution. And Hubert Davis didn't seem all that bothered by it after the fact. Although there is an interesting thing that I don't quite know yet, but there's been like 2 or 3 instances this year. You go back to November. Remember, there was like he was sick. And Caleb Wilson openly talked about missing some practice, and Hubert Davis was like, "What are you talking about? That's not that's not the case." I was like, "Okay, interesting." So they don't seem to be on the same page with some stuff here. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. It's entirely possible that I'm reading too much into that. Okay, but getting back to the nature of the injury, the initial X-ray, the follow-up X-ray, still playing in that Miami game, and the further evaluation. I got to imagine that they'll miss some games and be raring to go by the time we get to March. I'd have to expect that.
Aaron beating me to it.
Yep.
Sometimes the fans are smarter than I am.
Yes.
Now we will expect to win and definitely lose. That was the Cole Anthony. I'm just trying to throw that out there for you guys. You know this. You know how this works.
I know. You know how it works. You know how it works. Hanging out with us in studio is Gordon Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com. Tell them we sent you. You refinance, you get the Butcher's Market gift basket, which Gordon will be the first one to tell you ain't cheap.
No, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. We're gonna have to raise our credit card limit for this thing just to handle the cost of those.
I know it's last minute. You're looking for something to do for Valentine's Day. Give the gift of a refinance. All right. Give the gift of consolidated debt. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're gonna do that home remodel you've been wanting us to do because I refinance with Miller Lending and Gordon Miller.
Well,
that sounds like Valentine's Day to me.
Well, or buy her a house, but just don't spend money on closing costs. I mean, that's really the key here. Is just quit throwing money away.
I agree.
So
you know what's throwing money away? A Teddygram. That's throwing money away. We're never going to get advertising from the Pajamagram company.
The Never Nudes.
The Never Nudes. Do you remember that? Do you remember those back in the radio days?
Pajamagrams?
Those? Yeah.
And Vermont Teddy Bear?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Vermont Teddy Bear. That was the one.
Promo code Mike and Mike.
Right. Promo code Jim Rome. I used to sell promo codes for teddy bears.
That Vermont Teddy Bear, it's collecting dust. But a refinance, hey.
Right next to the Peloton. Yeah.
Well, that's where you put the clothes now. That's where you hang clothes.
It's an official clothes hanger. Yep. I see them on Craigslist for like $1.50. It's they're much cheaper. Actually you could put your money to better use than closing costs. Go buy an Olympic torch.
Before we, I appreciate you. I
Yeah.
appreciate you doing some research for us on that particular thing. You being the king of the washed up jock, you love a tchotchke. Would you consider buying an Olympic torch?
If I had come across that 1952, that's now worth $5 million, I would have probably bought it for $10,000 at the time.
At the time,
probably
probably
would.
investment, right?
But now they're mass produced, so they really aren't worth much. I mean, I value the flower that I got from the Monk more than I do than.
How was the Monk?
How was the Monk? They finally made it to DC.
Yes, and it was 64 was lined up for miles.
Yeah, I saw pictures of that.
Miles.
That was impressive. We had some our neighbors. Shout out to neighbor Rick and Sabrina. They were adamant about going and seeing the Monk. Sometimes we usually hang out with them on Friday night, but they were like, "We're getting up early. We're going to go see the Monks and all that kind of stuff." And I saw the pictures. It looked pretty incredible. The turnout.
It was really incredible, and so I mean, my favorite part of it was that when my wife handed a flower to the Monk, we were about 10 feet apart. When they got to me, he gave me a flower. I'm like, yeah, I bought that. That's my flower. You just gave me back my flower. But then another monk did touch me on the shoulder. I actually thought he was reaching his hand out to shake my hand. And then I realized after that they don't do that really.
No.
So he went past, I did the old,
hey buddy,
leaving me hanging, man. And he, puts his hand there and everything changed. My life is totally different now. Everything's great. And I will never charge a closing cost again, thanks to
You've
the
been
monks.
inspired by the monks.
I've been inspired by
no,
monks.
I've seen the light.
Talk
No
me
more
into
closing
it.
costs.
It was, but to see the road closed off, and
Yeah,
they
it was
were
cool.
walking fast. I mean,
It's not a stroll.
no,
Okay.
it was kind of funny because you'd watch people kind of like join in.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, what do I give them? Like, all right, another 5, 10. So, yep, there they stopped. Okay, yep. The monks just kept going right on.
Now,
It was
did
like a bad cardio day for a whole lot of people.
I feel like the monks would make you reconsider some things in life in the same way that gambling on the Super Bowl would make you reconsider some things in life. Waking up the next day after a hangover would make you reconsider some things of how you handled yourself for the Super Bowl.
I was talking to a manager over at the bank the other day, and he said that they had a big Super Bowl party, and every time the Patriots scored a touchdown, they were going to do a shot. At halftime, they said, "Screw this, we're just doing a shot."
Every time they
punt. There you go.
That's
Now,
what they should have
wow.
shifted was to every time that they punt. That was absolutely the worst Super Bowl ever, which is why I texted you the other day, and I said, how did football arrive at being the only sport that does this total schedule unbalance? I mean, I'm used to, the whole Eastern Conference plays the same schedule.
Well, no,
Or-
the schedule imbalance has been there for years because it goes all the way back to Paul Tagliabue and the dream of 8 and
not
8.
like
Roselle.
this.
Or it's Pete
place-
Rozelle?
Yeah.
Okay.
What,
Pete
last
Rozelle.
place-
Yeah.
Yeah. Any given Sunday. That was his
That was
saying.
his thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember this strength of schedule thing at all. Like I do the last couple of
Well,
years.
it was more pronounced this year because of the way that the schedule broke for the Patriots this year. It literally was the easiest regular season schedule this century.
Yeah.
So,
But
it
I'm
was
not going
just
to call
more
them the
pronounced.
frauds. I'm going to call the Buffalo Bills frauds.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Okay.
call, if
Right.
the deck is cleared for you and these Patriots are frauds, well, then you should be able to get past them. And obviously you should be able to win your division, but obviously they weren't able to do that.
Yeah, no,
But-
it was a mess.
But this is the second Nick Wright reference of today's show. We're not going to talk about the NBA All-Star games, white players versus black players, which is very, very fascinating and one that I would agree would get people to watch in droves and people to care.
Is that Europe versus the US by mass?
No. His idea is
literally whites versus blacks. And I think
All right.
it's something
I
that's
know
been,
where my money's going.
it's something that's been joked about for years, but I appreciate
Joe, what's the prop on that?
I appreciate Nick putting it out on Front Street. It's not a new concept. It's just one that Nick finally put on Front Street, and I thought it was great. But Nick is a gambler. He is a degenerate in the same way that you two are. And the thing that I found interesting, and I saw this in some of the coping that was taking place in our comment sections on Instagram and TikTok related to Drake May was, well, his shoulder. And it's like, well, hold up. When he was asked about the shoulder in the pregame, people got mad because I forgot who the sideline reporter was, but the setup was they talked to Drake May about being there. And the last time he was here was in 2016 for the Panthers Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. And then Drake May walks away. And then the sideline reporter looks at the camera and says, oh, and by the way, Drake May's shoulder is fine. So she didn't ask him about the shoulder, but she had a conversation with him about the shoulder. And now we come to find out after the fact from Drake May that his shoulder was worse off than initially thought. This has caused Nick Wright
Yeah, he was like, you should have just,
to go all out on the NFL, not the Patriots, but the NFL to completely change how they go about the injury reports.
Yeah,
And of
they've
course,
they've been a joke.
and people have been
Everyone is questionable. Hell, we're questionable.
Day to day.
We're
day
all
to day.
day.
We're all
We
day to
are
day.
all day to day.
We're all day to day.
Right.
So I guess what I'm getting at, what I'm ultimately bringing up here is that for people who are very in tune with the game and putting money on it, I can see why they are upset at the NFL for how they've allowed the injury reports to become a bit of a joke. Now, I don't know
who made it a joke.
who made it a joke. I don't know. Belichick made it a joke.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back to that.
Oh yeah, he would put everyone on because remember he got
Oh,
fined,
that's right.
and then he was like, okay, fine. Tom Brady's questionable every
Yeah.
week, ankle or knee, whatever the thing was.
There's always something good.
Would you like me to share with him my gambling theory with you about the Super Bowl and what we should be doing with our money for the Super Bowl 61?
Let's do it.
All right, Joe.
Okay.
I wish I could give credit to the person where I saw this on my socials, but are you ready for this?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. In 2005, the Eagles lost in the Super Bowl. In 2025, 20 years later, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. In 2006, the Seattle Seahawks lost in the Super Bowl. 20 years later, in 2026, they won in the Super Bowl.
I see where you're going with this.
In 2007, in Super Bowl 41, the Chicago Bears lost in the Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
In 2027, right now on FanDuel, you can get the Chicago Bears for plus 2,700, 27 to 1 to win the Super Bowl.
I feel like that's an emotional hedge.
What do we
for
think, Gordon? Can you do it?
I feel like that's an emotional hedge for you.
No,
Detroit to the bone, D-Town all the way.
No, I can't.
You can't do it even for profit?
It's the schedule I brought up. That's the thing is the Bears have every tough.
Now they go to the first place schedule.
Right. They go to the first place schedule. Last year, Detroit played every division winner on the road.
Yeah.
7 road games against nothing but top teams.
Juggernauts.
Which, okay, so they finished what? 10-7 as a result. The Bears are going to have to, there's no waiting for Romeo Doubs to blow up an onside kick, or we're going to kick off short for the Vikings at the end and watch them return it in the field goal range. I mean, the things that happen this year, you know how football is. There's always that team every year that loses. Oh, we lost 8 games by 3 points or less. Okay, get a better kicker. But at the end of the day, the next year, they don't lose 4 games by 3 points or less. It's just football. But I always enjoy, just listening to like Bear fans. And, now that Caleb's a Hall of Famer and Ben Johnson is
the greatest coach ever.
Greatest coach ever.
All right.
They're
So we've learned your threshold.
They would be bombing that.
We've learned your threshold because you'll,
that is
Michigan fan, Michigan season ticket holder, you'll open up in a new shop in Columbus, Ohio.
I was going to say,
you won't put $10 on the Bears at 27 to 1.
You're selling mortgages in Columbus, Ohio now on a sports talk. Shout out to Tim Hall, former coworker of mine.
Common Man and Timmy.
That's
They'll be doing live reads for Miller Lending.
Hey, look at that.
No cost loans are making their way into Columbus.
How about this? I just get $100 loan from you. I'll put it on the Bears. You don't know about it.
All right.
And then I'll give you, we'll make it a 60-40. You get the 60.
And do the same thing for Ohio State, please.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. So as long as we cover those two. But yes, that's the thing, where you and I started and where no closing cost loans were when we came back here in 96 and bringing it down for Michigan here. And we reopened in Detroit a year and a half ago, and their volume now outpaces North Carolina. So the decision was made. What's another big Midwestern market?
Columbus.
That's Columbus.
Columbus is just glorified Raleigh, man.
Man, that's a big market.
It's
there
a
are
huge
3 million
market,
people in that area. So for them to be throwing money away at closing every time and getting frustrated to see rates drop right after that and then paying again.
Columbus, it's
going to be exciting.
The impression I've always gotten from Columbus is if you were to combine Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill into one city and all those efforts go behind one school, you get Ohio State, you get Columbus, right down to a professional hockey team.
Yeah. And a really cool downtown.
And who knows? If I'm a manager next year, I might be doing a tournament in Columbus because I've been intrigued to do one there.
Well, there you go. And then you can critique the no cost, although it'll be the same.
Well, it is, but also I'm going to have to refinance. If Jacob does travel hockey again next year, I'm going to have to refinance.
Right.
Even though I'm sitting sub 3%, I might have to do this. There's got to be options there. So let's say
there'll be a HELOC.
Let's talk mortgages.
Equity loan at that point.
Let's
don't kill the 3%.
Let's talk mortgages before we get out of here. And I'm actually using me as an example to think outside the box a little bit. Let's say you are somebody that is reluctant to do any sort of messing around with your interest rate, like me. I refinanced before everything shut down in the pandemic. I ended up getting it like sub 3. I forgot. I'm thinking like 2.65 or something like that. Thanks, Gordon. Yeah. And I mean, honestly, without Gordon, I don't have that rate. Okay.
It took three refis to get there.
But I got
every
there.
time they dropped, we reached back out to
and
you.
That's the point.
Kind of the point.
That's
it's not
the
just
point.
one time, it's multiple times as rates permit.
But now I am not going to refinance.
No.
Because why would I? What's the current rate now?
Around 6.
That would be silly of me, right?
It'd be double.
But let's say I do need to take out money to pay for travel hockey and to knock out my my sunroom and put an actual addition to the house.
Right.
How would I go about that?
You do a home equity loan.
And I contact Miller Lending.
We can help you with that.
See, folks, there's options.
It's that simple. You got to call them.
Yeah, it's
You have to
it's
call.
that simple. And that's what I try to convey. And it's really hard, right? Because I'm in an industry of sales and we're associated with used car salesmen the whole time.
Yeah.
I've been in this market. It'll be 30 years in June. I would have a track record of all sorts of negative things if I had not done my business the way that I've done it.
I'll make it real simple. You wouldn't be in the studio right now talking to our
That too.
listeners
Right.
if you were a used car salesman that's trying to get over on people. I would not have this conversation right now.
Right.
So
And
there you
the
go.
thing that threw me sideways driving in was, so we had an email on the way over, and and he wants to get all the information via email.
Okay.
But I wanted to respond back immediately, but Daniel handles that now, so I can't actually respond to him. But
Cooler heads prevail.
Right, another Miller. But the APR was one of his questions, and
There it is again, that dang APR,
there's
man.
that APR, and I'm going to look straight into this camera, and I'm going to say, folks, stop looking at APRs. APR takes the rate and the closing cost and divides those costs over 30 years. So when you're comparing an APR from a no-cost loan to one that appears to be better, it's that APR if you kept it to term. If you made 360 payments on that loan, now the average life of a mortgage hasn't been even 10 years forever.
Yeah.
I don't think ever. Maybe our grandparents, maybe,
Yeah.
had mortgage burning parties, but rates didn't move back then either like this. So it's the volatility of rates that brought this program out. If rates stayed steady, you just pay your costs, you'd be done, you'd never do it again. But I started at 13.5. They came down to 8.5, went back to 11.5, then 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 10 years later, 4, 3. And we had these rates in 2012, which is what kills me about this whole thing, is everybody's saying, oh, we're not going to see below 5% again or below 4% again. So let me get this straight. 30 years of the market only knows rates at 5 or below.
Yeah.
That's who's buying houses right now. But you're going to convince them that 6 or 7 or, well, geez, let's not cut rates and let's see them at 8. Nobody's going to buy a house.
No.
And nobody's going to move off. At that point, you wouldn't even move off of your 5% rate. So, having done this for 40 years and having done no closing cost loans for 39 of them, to sit here and think a year ago that, oh, I better pay because 7 is the lowest. And now it's, hey, I better pay because I can get 5 and 7/8. I love that 5 handle. Okay. And then maybe at the end of the year, it's going to be 4 and 7/8. You're going to keep paying 15 grand every 6, 8, 12 months. Don't. You can just, I'm still trying to figure out how this system evolved from just, you go to the bank, here's the rate. You sign your papers. That's all I remembered growing up. Mr. Mooney, the Drysdales, the banker.
Right.
The banker was great. And that's what I modeled my life after. I'm going to be like Mr. Drysdale. This will be great. I can work with the Beverly Hillbillies and put them into great investments, and what a life that would be. But, to go ahead, I don't know how they got to that point of saying, can I just give you 15 grand and maybe you'll cut my payment by a little bit? And
Maybe.
like 8, 9 years from now, I'll break even. But in year 20 to 30, I'm going to save a ton. Great. So when I'm 98 years old, I'm going to break even. Don't pay closing costs. It just starts a break even that you don't get.
The math.
You don't get the math. You
The
don't
math.
get the benefit of.
The math does not math.
It doesn't math. 8 and 4. The math doesn't.
Math don't math.
You made a career off of 8
I
and
did.
4. You
I
became
did.
the 8 and 4 guy.
Exactly.
It's 8 years to break even. It's 4 years average life of a mortgage typically. So quit paying closing costs and quit asking about the APR, please. That is a term based on you keeping the loan until it's paid off in full at the end of 360 payments. If there's anybody watching today that actually paid 360 payments, I got some good swag for him.
Oh, I like that. I love a challenge. But here's our challenge. Just call Miller Lending today. Visit them online, millerlending.com. You will tell them that we sent you. Please do that.
That's the important part.
That's the most important part for several reasons, including your ability to get a Butcher's Market gift basket. That is not cheap. Just
And
ask
a row
Gordon.
bag.
And a row back as well. So,
Right.
All right, Gordon, we appreciate it, man. We'll
Yep.
talk to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Woo, boy, has my phone been blowing up with the Caleb Wilson news. So if you're watching live on YouTube and you're just chiming in, you're wondering, hey, did you guys see the news? Yes, we saw the news. We talked about it about I'd say 25 minutes or so ago here on the podcast, and he is out indefinitely with a fractured hand that he suffered in Tuesday's loss to Miami. You know, earlier today, I'm sorry, this was late yesterday, but I saw it earlier today when I was catching up on stuff. I was over at Tar Heel 24/7, and I had seen Andrew Jones with the headline, confirmed Wilson suffered sprained left wrist in loss at Miami, and goes on to write that Wilson, who finished the game with a season-low 12 points and 26 minutes of action, left the game with 14:56 remaining in the contest. He was attended to on the bench by the team manager, who taped Wilson's left wrist. There is no situation, Hubert Davis said after the game. I already played that clip earlier. And as Andrew points out, Carolina's coach was not interested in getting into anything regarding his star player's status. He missed 650 of total game time. So that was just something that we had seen, and we're trying to get a follow, try to get some level of follow-up on. And like I said earlier this morning, when I was just kind of doing a roundup on things that I might have missed overnight, Andrew Jones had reported that yesterday afternoon over at Tar Heel 24/7. But with additional x-rays, come to find out it's actually fractured, and now he's out indefinitely. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, and I know this is going to be a thing, okay, because I played the clip and I was curious, and why it kind of leads me to wonder what the severity of the injury is. He came back and he played because they did x-rays there, and it came back negative. And if you're Hubert Davis and he came back and he played and he missed 650 of time and he's wrapped up and there's no, things came back negative, well, then yes, you're going to be like, that's not a situation. He played, we'll go from there. And even with a sprain, you can move past that. But the fact that it turns out that it's fractured, and we get the report today, we get the release from UNC today, that clip from Hubert's going to come back. I just hope that people understand the context of it rather than acting as though he was trying to hide something. Follow the facts here. The game itself, him coming back, the x-rays being negative, and them not finding this out until they did a follow-up. And who's to say that when he went back in the game, it wasn't sprained or, it wasn't fractured, and maybe as the game went on, it ended up being fractured. I don't know. The point here is, the thing to keep in mind is, at the time, they were working with the information they had. And the information they had at that time was no fracture. Now they got the new information. They're going to go from there. We shall see how long he'll be out. Should we go ahead and tidy up the Will Wade room you posted last night for Tuesday night? Again, be careful. It's the law of the wolf. From Swish, he might be back for the Duke game, but it would be a risk to play him earlier. UNC is obligated to protect his future. And yes, I think that's the ultimate takeaway from what will happen with Caleb Wilson the rest of the way. North Carolina is not going to do anything to endanger his future, and obviously Caleb Wilson and his people are not going to do anything to endanger his future.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's get out of here with one sports phone question from a 919, our guys over at Nice Price.
Joe and Joe, this is Unique in Raleigh, North Carolina. I think fourth time, long time, official or don't. Anyhow, I'm calling a day late because I wanted to hear y'all's response first with regard to John Shire's post-game remarks. I appreciate Ovius going about as hard in the paint as he could, I think, without getting himself into any sort of trouble. But I got no dog in this fight. I hate Duke. I hate Carolina. Joe knows I grew up in Raleigh. I'm a NC State fan until I went to East Carolina University. Shout out to the younger Giglio, by the way. Anyhow, I thought it was absolutely infuriating, just as a person who is forced to spend all day dodging the gross, disgusting, dangerous, state-sanctioned misinformation that is currently going on in the world every single day. And then you watch a ball game and you have not just what appears to be pure misinformation, straight up lies essentially, but it is not even in the world of where it's acceptable in the world of the like heated, insane rivalry. There's no humor. This is not a Free Shoes University. This is not a the Auburn Library burned down and it's sad because some of the books hadn't been colored in yet joke. Like there's no humor to this. And worse, there's not even any vitriol in John Shire's bogus story about somebody getting punched. This is just the worst kind of virtue. Like, well, here at Duke, we care about the safety of the human body. Like, give me an absolute break, dude. This is embarrassing. I cannot believe more people are not shredding him. Like, he should be so beyond embarrassed for flat out lying about this because he's upset because his team lost a basketball game. He's such a chump for this. It is so ridiculous and pathetic and sad and just immature. I can't, and I hate them both. I could give a flip, dude. Like, I just cannot believe that. I mean, this is really turning over the checkers board. Just absolutely pathetic behavior. I went from him being a guy that I thought was a very, very pure dork to being a guy that I think is a very, very pure lying dork who does not deserve off the court respect to be.
Well, that's going hard in the paint for me, Nick, for sure. Here's the thing. There are now two instances with John Shire and court storms that will now forever be made fun of, right? You got the Kyle Filipowski Wake Forest court storm, and now it's become this, it's amazing that Kyle Filipowski was able to get back out there with one leg. He had to get amputated after that instance, right? And this is going to be something that follows John Shire throughout the rivalry and the triangle, because as you know, people keep receipts here. This is a thing that we've been trying. You told your story about Kevin Keats. I'm like, why is everybody all worked up that we lost to this Carolina team? I mean, how many Final Fours have we been to, right? Like, yeah, because people keep receipts, dude. That's how it works in this area. Yeah. And Will Wade's going to find this out real quick, starting on Tuesday, if he hasn't figured it out already. All right. So what I would say is these are things that will be used to make fun of John as his career progresses at Duke, in the same way there's any number of things you can point to for Mike Krzyzewski. The thing that I found the most interesting is that as much as John, and rightfully, presents himself and does a good job of keeping even keel, there's a little bit of I know who your head coach was at Duke. I see a little bit of Coach K there, where you say some things in the heat of the moment lost that you probably want to take back. Mike Krzyzewski has done that. I mean, do we need to bring up the Dylan Brooks thing again? Right? So there's every coach has that. Roy Williams has that. Okay. So it's a thing that'll just follow him going forward, and that just becomes a joke. And sometimes that's a punishment worse than anything else. We're just going to make fun of you forever, just like out indefinitely. We know like Caleb Wilson's going to be out indefinitely.
Is that one game?
I mean, based on what we saw with Grayson Allen, or the mythical Mike Krzyzewski post Tyler Hansbrough, Gerald Henderson, and how he handled that situation. Yeah. So every coach in these rivalries has some moments where you're like, yep, that one's going to stick with you, and we're going to make fun of you for that from here on out, even in retirement. So welcome to the club, John. You got a couple of instances now as the head coach at Duke where people are just going to make fun of you for some of the things that you said in the heat of a loss. And it's natural. You lost. You hate losing. That's what competitors do. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Shout out to everybody who's watched this live today. Throw us a like, leave a comment, hit that hype button. That helps out with the discovery on YouTube as well. And of course, if you're listening on audio only, by all means, 5 stars only, positive vibes only. Leave a review on your favorite podcast app. That also helps with discovery. We will see you for a mailbag tomorrow.